I was overweight, which I still am, but almost 16 pounds down, thank God. I had started to lose weight, but I was still eating quite a bit of sugar. And so I was having a leakage problem, which is embarrassing, but we deal with nutrition, so it is what it is. And nobody knew why. No tests that I had done came back anything wrong. And I was in the middle of getting more tests, but I knew something wasn't right for about 6 months. And I saw this ad that Joe had run on Facebook and said, and it was very explicit. It was, like kind of disgusting. But I'm like, well, I might as well try it. So it was the greens product. And within 3 days, the problem went away completely, never to return. I was shocked because if I showed you the nutrition I take, you'd be amazed. Insulin, which, D3, I take a liquid product called Heart Miracle, which is designed by a doctor's liquid. And that keeps my blood pressure and stuff down, even when I've been overweight. So, and other stuff, I take a collagen product from Costco because I was having trouble with my knees. And one day I'm with Costco, lady says, have a sample. And she said, it'll help your joints. And I was having trouble. And I bought it. And same thing, no more pain in my knees, none. And I had an injury when I was 18. So do I believe in nutrition? Yeah, a little bit, because I've seen it changing. So whenever something changes that quickly, like the collagen from Costco and like the greens product from here, I'm amazed. That's a keeper, as it were, unless I can find a replacement. I'm not saying I wouldn't buy Barton's equivalent of the collagen. I think it just invented one or came out with one that had Dr. Saunders' blessing. So the remarkable thing was now these seminars, and I'm self-employed. I've been working from home, and I'm actually going to be going out in the field and doing some sales. My journey's taken me a much different direction, which I think I've had some issues with depression. I've had some very severe trials in my life. I am a Christian, and by the grace of God, I've written tremendous poems that God has given me that have helped hundreds, maybe thousands of people. I intend to publish them someday because so many pastors have said, you need to publish these. So I'm working on that as a long-term goal. But I found out that I have degenerative disc disease as part of this whole saga when I went to the emergency room, minor, but I don't like that. And that's from sitting in front of the computer 12, 14, 16 hours. I just turned 56 last week, 2 weeks ago. I don't know. 2 weeks ago. So the point is, once I got the green nutrition, I got on Dr. Saunders' thing. And at the same time, ironically, my doctor, traditional doctors usually are against nutrition, right? So my doctor that followed up, I had gone with stroke symptoms to the emergency room in June. And my chiropractor said to go. Now, when a chiropractor says, go get checked, and you're a natural mind, you're like, yeah. And I knew because I'm in the life insurance business and I knew the symptoms, and I asked the medical questions all the time. So I went, and again, if they found nothing. So the follow-up, I kind of jumped around there, but the follow-up to that with the doctor, she told me to watch something on Roku, which doesn't sell anything, called Fat Fiction. You've got to go watch that. Oh. It explained why carbs are the issue and not fat, and how the American Heart Association was paid off by Crisco, $1.5 million just before they went bankrupt to promote the artificial oils, which, as we know from our dear Dr. Saunders and any other intelligent-minded, honest person who looks into this and studies, these are extremely bad, not just the trans fat, but what they do for you. So ironically, the only thing they found wrong with me was the A1C was 6.5, which I already knew. I had prediabetes. And I just took it this morning with the home test, which I'd never used before, rely on, and apparently they're not that reliable, but it's 6.3. So that if it's accurate, that's really good. But whether it's accurate or not, my blood sugar is pretty consistently 120 or less in the morning now. Sometimes a little bit more. The other day it was 137. I was shocked, but I am cheating a little bit on the carbs. I've had some stomach issues. I don't know what they are, and they've been much better since I went on this diet. Like when I bought your program, what is it?
The diabetes solution kit.
Yeah. So I'm one of these people. I move really fast, and I don't do exactly what I'm told. I'm terrible, and I probably represent a lot of Americans, unfortunately. but I did radically change my diet, radically. The fact that anytime I eat now afterwards, it's always 104 to 108, and it used to be 155 to 175 every time. That alone, if that's all that happened for me finding you guys at Barton and connecting with Dr. Saunders, I should be thanking God, and I do. This Leslie, this is amazing to me. And so I was like, huh. And one of the things that Dr. Saunders said was so shocking. He said that the study showed that people are more likely to change their religion than they are their diet. And, I do preach the gospel. I was out on the beach a couple of weeks, Saturdays ago, with an evangelist. That is not the main thing I'll do or I will ever do, but I will go once in a while with them. But I do other things one-on-one and whatever. But one of the scriptures says, whose God is their belly and whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things, right? Now you guys are Christians over there, so you understand this. And the problem we do have, and even so sadly, and this is, I hope, not one of the reasons why in a coming day, Jesus is going to say, depart from me, you who work iniquity, I never knew you. It's a frightening thing when the diet or when food, he's given us all things richly to enjoy. And I hear people quote all these verses, but when we know something damages us, our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. And as believers, I can't speak for those who don't know these things, but for those of us who know, we have a responsibility to take this very seriously. And it's difficult in a world and in a culture where, everything is made to taste so good and there's so much hidden sugar, to actually want to believe this, because the tongue and the sexual organs are the two, I found out from research, are the two, the sexual being the most powerful and the tongue the second most powerful sensory objects in our bodies. So that makes sense why that gives us the most pleasure. So that makes sense why outside of the human sexual experience, the tongue. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. But it occurred to me when Dr. Saunders said that, I wrote it down and I thought, wow, whose God is their belly. And you may remember I texted and I said, the reason is because their food is their religion. That's the problem. That is the issue. And I have to admit, I've been addicted. And that's a hard thing. Oh, we can point to alcoholics. And I would say to people on calls, well, yeah, you smoke, I understand, because like, yeah, I use tobacco, when you're asking them, for life insurance. And I say, well, you know what? I'm overweight. And quite frankly, that's just as dangerous as tobacco. And I wouldn't justify them, but I would let them know that I'm not judging them in their tobacco, because overweight is just as serious. So anyway, I don't know.